My name is Insane Raven, and today on IR Reviews, I'm reviewing Going in Style. It's the new bank heist movie featuring Morgan Freeman and Michael Caine. I'm so sorry, actually. I'm so sorry for that attempt at a thing. I don't even wasn't even like good enough to be called a failed impersonation, but it was definitely a thing. Um, yeah, but Going in Style is it's very much you kind of know what you're getting into before you start watching it. With the amount of time they put into promotional material and stuff, that's about the grade of movie you should expect. That's not to say that it's bad. It's just that to say that it's not really memorable and it's very much just there as a movie. Um, I did enjoy the movie, and there were a couple of times where it even had me laughing out loud. And all in all, I think as a movie, it's something that if you're gonna go see the movies, you're not going to hurt yourself by watching it, and you might even enjoy it. But it's definitely not something that you have to see, otherwise you're 2017 to bust. Um, all in all, I thought it was really fun. Each of the characters have a meaningful part in the movie. We're not. It doesn't seem like any of the leads are actually really wasted, and by the end, you get some nice character development thrown in there as well. The movie is very is borderline anti-establishment, and personally, I love it. The storyline is pretty simple. The bank and their job through a merger kind of fucks over all of the old employees. So these old guys say, "Hey, we're gonna just steal what's rightfully ours back." The movie isn't coming from with the robbery coming from a place of we got to rob. This was stolen from us, therefore we should go rob it. It doesn't really come along as malicious or as these are bad guys. It's more of these are just desperate people. And with everything being a very personal thing in this movie, I don't think that's a bad thing. Um, a lot of the times you kind of get these half-assed reasons of I gotta do this because someone in my family needs something and this is the only way of doing it, or this is the only way of doing it because it's the only way I know how to do it. It very much isn't either of those things, and for that I really do appreciate it. I most of the time these movies of old guys doing the young guy stick are pretty scary movie experiences for me. I've really yet to see one that's kind of blown me away, and that's kind of disappointing because we do have a lot of amazing aging actors at this point that if Hollywood wanted to, they could really raise the bar with making these kinds of movies. And the fact that these movies don't get made, it's just disheartening. But it's nice to see that one of them finally at least got it right. They got the trope and how to do it right. And I appreciate that. I don't really have a lot to say about the movie. I will say, however, the movie is kind of forgettable. Coming out of the theater, there's nothing that's like, oh, yeah, that makes me feel good, or anything like that. But there are definitely plot holes in the movie, which kind of. I'm not gonna go into the ending just yet, so I'm trying to pick my words very carefully. But the plot holes definitely ruin the end of the movie. Um, when you just start thinking about everything, it's like, oh, okay. Um, all in all, the movie is a fun experience about just getting what's yours and kind of sticking it to the man at the same time. It's very much an underdog story and an anti-establishment story, but it's something that's quite beautiful all in all. I'm not sure if it was just my movie theater that did this, or if it's like commercials for future movies that specifically got paired up with this movie, but there was a commercial, like an ad for a future movie, a preview, whatever you want to call it, um, for a movie called The Inconvenient Truth. And the reason why I'm bringing this Inconvenient Truth up is because it is the type of movie that made this movie all the better. But kind of like homing in on this whole idea of this other movie that was shown off in the preview, you very much get this feel of, no, this is the kind of movie we need right now. And The Inconvenient Truth focuses on environmentalists fighting for fighting for more, what's the word? More progressive environmental protection measures and costs, and how the current administration is kind of wiping that away and erasing it and making it a much more of a underdog human story than it probably would normally be. So when you have that kind of preview showing up first, and then you get shown this anti-establishment movie of, yeah, the big businesses are fucking over the little guy by going overseas. The banks are fucking over their customers by just being greedy and money hungry and sneaky and conniving. It's good pairing is what I'm saying. It's one of those things that's like, oh, thank you. That movie's showing of, you have to be anti-establishment right now because everything's going bad. And to show this movie right after that is a very smart play. And for me, it kind of raised the bar on this movie just a little bit. Not to the point where I'm like, oh, the movie left this soulful impacting on my life, but it's very like, oh, okay. I found the movie pretty funny, especially with the commentary it was adding on the banks and on really just attacking banks. There's a character who's like the bank teller for Michael Caine's character, who's kind of just very much showing and represents the banks in this movie, of how he's all talky, he's very sneaky, he's conniving, he's this character that he'll get you on technicalities, and he's very legalistic and he's very word heavy, but he's not something to feel, because when push comes to shove, he is a crying, muddling mess of a person, and is very representative of the banks for this movie. Whether or not you agree with that or not, that is kind of the showing the movie goes for with this bank. And it was funny. It was funny. It got a couple really solid laughs from me personally and the entire theater, and I really enjoyed that. But I do think that all in all, this movie is a product of the current times that we're having. Well, a lot of people don't trust establishments right now. They're very, I don't know, how are we gonna kind of stick it to them? Between people loving and hating the current administration and loving and hating everything that went down with Wells Fargo a little bit ago, it was very a movie of its times. While still being able to give solid performances from its main actors and having a fun time. It's a movie that doesn't necessarily set you out to be a thinking movie, but it is a movie that kind of leaves you with maybe you should look into that type thing. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed a lot of what the movie had to offer and kind of gave. I hope people see it. I am mucking up my words. I hope that people see it and kind of enjoy it for what it is, rather than kind of adding all these other things that I know in this review myself, I've kind of added other things to the story because of the review that the preview that I mentioned, got coupled with my movie, but and that kind of thing. The movie on its own is fun, and it's going to be a overlooked movie. It's going to be probably your grandparents' favorite movie of this year. But all in all, it's a fun movie. It is a fun time. Alright, so now I'm going to kind of go into some of the plot holes, which are very spoilery. So if you don't want to have the movie be spoiled, I'm going to give you your cue now. This is your time to go. The movie like officially came out today. So it's understandable that you should probably go. And I'm talking spoilers now. Okay, so there's, with every heist and everything, there is a detective. And the detective is hanging out and he's talking to Michael Caine's character towards the beginning of the movie because he's trying to figure out who did the first robbery that kind of got this idea into Michael Caine's head of we need to rob a bank. And it's actually really funny because the detective, he's not like amazing on his job, but he's also not bad at his job. He actually solves the case really quickly, and just it should be a open and shut case. But with everything that Michael Caine and his cohorts have done to kind of protect themselves, it's not so open and shut. The massive plot hole that would have, if the filmmakers would have actually addressed, would have completely changed and destroyed this movie, is a really simple one. He talks to the detective about how he's just a really old guy with no money and really nothing to his name. So how could he have... And that's why he's so upset about the first bank robbery that takes place in the film. And it just simply doesn't make sense for him to have to lose money because his bank got robbed. Later in the film, and one of the things he talks about is how his house is going to foreclose and he just lost his job and all this other shit. Right? Really kind of almost standard run-of-the-mill type stuff. So, at the end of the film, in the last scene of the film, Michael Caine now has a puppy, a newly adopted puppy. And the detective finds him and is talking to him about his puppy. If Michael Caine was losing his house, but now all of a sudden can adopt a puppy, as a detective, isn't that a pretty big red flag right there? Hey, this guy who's losing his house can now adopt a dog. Not just any dog, but a puppy. So he's in this for the long haul. And just the other little things kind of like that of the movie kind of showing that detectives and the establishment, it's really just dumb. They're just dumb. And it's just other big kind of plot holes like this. You have I forgot his name because he's not Michael Caine, he's not Morgan Freeman, he's the other dude. Which, by the way, that is always a glowing review for someone, just to be like, oh yeah, he's the other dude. He's not the big name, he's the other dude. But he kind of goes through this whole thing of, I'm not in this for a relationship. I don't want to have a relationship. And at the end, he's getting married. You could argue that that's character development, and it makes sense. He's like, no, like, he didn't have the money to be in a relationship, and why would he want to be in a relationship? Except you really don't see that build up. You got, like, his character is very straightforward of, like, yeah, I like to have fun, I'm the party of the group, if anything, I was the wild boy back in the day, and now I'm kind of just, I'm here, I'm the quirky funny one, type deal. And in the end, he's getting married, and it doesn't make sense. The most we ever see out of the relationship is that he's getting some granny, and for him, it's a great time. He puts a little pep in his step and all of that. And Morgan Freeman even comments on it saying, Michael Caine goes, "Why are you so happy all of a sudden?" And Morgan Freeman goes, "Well, it's because he's getting laid." But that's the most we ever see come out of this relationship, that by the end of the movie is supposed to mean something. It means enough to get married. I don't know. It kind of just feels rushed in order to have a happy ending versus having a sensible ending. But all in all, with the exception of those two glaring plot holes, and just like, wait, what? I really did enjoy the film. I thought it was a fun time, and I thought it was something that is definitely going to be overlooked just because it isn't a big name and because Fast and the Furious is coming out either this week or next week, this upcoming week or the week following. But it's a fun time. But other than that, I don't have anything else to say. So thank you guys for watching. My name is The Insane Raven, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye. Also, if I was being too harsh, let me know, because I could be. I could be because I'm a cynic. Bye!